Chapter 14. Subtler than space is the sense of I amness. Beingness can act in the world only with the aid of a body. This body is the quintessence of the five elements, and the quintessence of the body essence is the knowledge I am. In the absence of a body form, the beingness cannot know itself. So you should hold on to that indwelling principle, the beingness only. The potential for all activities rests with beingness, which is in dormant condition in food body juices. These juices emanate from the five elements. The presiding principle of the whole functioning is the knowledge I am, which is the quintessence of the five elemental body. This knowledge I am has to be understood correctly. The beingness, vital breath, and mind are formless. In the course of the five elemental flow, various body forms of the multifarious species are created. When the vital breath infuses these different body forms, the beingness also expresses itself through them. Vegetable essence, which is called sattva, goes into the making of the diverse bodies of species. And in the bodies dwells the sattva sense of being. Each species is given a name according to the shape or form of the body. Expressions and actions of the species vary according to their body forms. Of all the species, the most evolved is the human being, who therefore qualifies for the title Ishvara, God. With the functioning of the vital breath, mind flow begins in a human body, and actions are performed according to samskaras, which are impressions collected from the outside by mind. A body may be dark, fair, tall, or short, but the indwelling principle, which is the knowledge I am, has no color or dimension. Just like the vital breath and mind, it is merely a sense of presence, of feeling, of effulgence. And mind functions like its vehicle or medium for executing worldly activities. You want to meditate, and so you should. Real meditation is to abide in this sense of being. In fact, meditation means the sense of being holding on to itself. It is said that after death one goes to heaven or hell, but this is mere concept and hearsay. When a body has died, the indwelling Atman sense of being loses memory of its beingness and does not know it is. In that state, there is no sleep, waking, and knowingness. You should understand this clearly. If one thinks one is the body, one becomes a slave of mind and suffers accordingly. Therefore, you should completely identify yourself with the highest principle in you, which is the knowledge I am. This will elevate you to the status of Brihaspati, the guru of gods. You think you are somebody, but you are nothing of the sort. The sense of being is expressed through the body as a consequence of the all-pervading absolute. This sense of being is deeply infatuated with itself and is termed Atma Prem, self-love. It is also called Guna, Shiva, Brahman. It is the self-love that is functioning through different bodies. Since there is only this principle expressing itself in different ways through the different vehicles, there is no you, I, or he. When the body dies, it decomposes into the five primary elements, and the vital breath, prana, merges into the universal air, and the guna, that is the sense of being, instantly becomes nirguna, or non-being, just as a flame is extinguished instantly. Please listen to my talks intently. If there is no vital breath, the guna has no quality of being. Only so long as the guna exists do grand titles such as Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu apply. Without prana, the vital breath, there is no movement or dynamic quality, either of the body or even of the guna. In short, when its dear friend and attendant prana quits a body, the presiding principle, guna, also evaporates. In a heap of grain, consciousness is latent, and in the presence of favorable conditions, it will manifest according to the form and quality of the species. If you have any questions on this topic, please ask. Are biological forms created naturally without any purpose? Yes, but a particular species procreates only within the pattern of its own image. Man does not beget a lower animal or vice versa. Coming back to the sense of I amness, you should understand that it is the subtlest principle, subtler than space even. When it is extinguished because of the death of the body and stopping of the vital breath, the event is termed nirvana or nirvana. This is a state in which there is no sample left of I amness, a sampleless condition absolutely. The state does not know it is, and is beyond happiness and suffering, and altogether beyond words. It is called the Para-Brahman, a non-experiential state. What is the blissful state in meditation? When the meditator forgets himself totally in meditation, it is Visranti, which means complete relaxation ending in total forgetfulness. This is the blissful state, where there is no need for words, concepts, or even the sense of I am. All concepts in us sprout out of the principle which was latent in the fetus, is it not so? Yes. Could it be that our thought emanation also is already decided? The thoughts are not predestined, but are the reactions of impressions, samskaras, which you receive now. God or Iswara is said to be omniscient, all knowledgeable. What does that mean? Iswara is not an individual person. It is an all-pervading principle which is latent in everything. It is manifest in the 5 elements, the 3 gunas, and in the cycle of waking, sleep, and knowingness. Does it mean no duality? Duality is only at the body-mind level. In the all-pervading universal consciousness, millions of births take place every day. But in its basic absoluteness, it is ajanma, the unborn. Although as universal consciousness it is multi-qualitative, as the absolute state it is nirguna, non-qualitative. To an American woman who is a writer, you'd better go home soon before you fully imbibe this knowledge, otherwise you will be lost to all your identities. I cannot say, but I say, you will be relieved of the comings and goings of all your concepts. Even your sense of I amness will be liquidated. In this country, for ages, it has been accepted that a sacred name carries great spiritual potency if recited properly. It has no better substitute. Millions of persons in the world are personified by the names given to them because a name has utility on the worldly level. When you are initiated into a spiritual discipline with the sacred name, it means that it represents your ultimate true nature. Be one with the sacred name completely. Then it will give you all the mystic knowledge necessary for your spiritual elevation. It will awaken you into eternal awareness. This is the mystic word of Navanat Sampradaya, the traditional order of the 9 gurus. These gurus were neither cultured nor highly educated. According to one of the stories, a man sat on one of the highest branches of a tree, cutting the very branch he sat on from the wrong side. A guru passing that way, seeing the naive man's one-pointed attention, took pity on him and blessed him with the name which the man recited diligently. In due course, this simpleton himself became a great sage. Such is the power of the sacred name, recited with concentrated attention. March 29th, 1980. Chapter 15. Merging of beingness within itself is the very fount of bliss. Before the emanation of any words, I already exist. Later I say mentally, I am. The word-free and thought-free state is the Atman. The Atman per se is self-sufficient, but when it clings to the body, treatments such as mental and physical recreation or occupation are necessary. Without these, the Atman cannot be tolerated by a person. For spiritual evolution, which is a requisite in the disengagement of the Atman from the body identity, various disciplines have been recommended. Among these, the best is namasmarana, recitation of a holy name of God. But here God means the indwelling principle within you, the Atman, which is given various names. These represent this inner God, who will respond no matter what names of other gods you chant. The custom of counting beads on a rosary is merely to give occupation to your hands, but it is this inner God that you are supposed to invoke. This God is awakened when you tell the beads by reciting his name. Just as the cow's udders ooze out milk upon the sight of its calf who runs to its mother mooing, "Ama, Ama," so also the beingness showers grace on one who chants its holy name and tells the beads in all earnestness by leading him into quietude. The keynote of recitation is to confine this I amness within itself. The listener and you listens to the chantings and feels greatly pleased. This is the reason that people used to the daily chantings and telling of beads get restless when unable to do so. Tukaram, the poet saint of Maharashtra, affirms this same principle when he sings in one of his couplets, "Triumphant am I in locking in my beingness in itself with my devotion. Thus have I reached the very pinnacle of my spiritual search, resulting in the drying up of my mental inclinations. The merging of beingness within itself is the very fount of bliss." Many sages who are in such a state are quite oblivious to the physical condition and simply lie on the ground, reveling in themselves. Some misguided seekers, with the aid of drugs such as marijuana, artificially induce a state of forgetfulness. But this is benumbing the senses by extraneous means. Such people will not have enduring peace, only hangovers and sour heads. If you want eternal peace, you can have it and be it through the absorbing devotional path, the Namajapa or Bhakti Yoga. March 30th, 1980. Chapter 16. Try to understand the ignorant child principle. What I am talking about is the knowledge of totality. It is not a piece of information. I ponder over manifestation as a whole, while you pick up only a fragment, a concept out of my talks and say, "I like this idea," and then give it a high status by naming it as Brahman, Vishnu, etc. But you do not attempt to comprehend the total and wholesome meaning. You have been talking about this ignorant child principle. Could you explain this a bit more fully? When an infant is born, he is just an innocuous form of flesh and bones and all innocence. He has no mentation, but has the instinct for eating, evacuation, and crying. In due course, this lump of flesh develops the capacity for knowledge and action. Gradually, the knowingness I am is felt by it, and this is followed by the mind. This I amness feeling before the formation of mind is the ignorant child principle, termed the Balkrishna state. It is this very principle which is the source or foundation on which the infancy develops into childhood, boyhood, teenage, and so on, undergoing physical and biological changes all the time. Eventually, manhood is attained, when all physical and mental faculties reach their peak. But what is the root of all these attainments? It is that ignorant child principle only, which developed with growth exclusively from inside to outside. During its growth to adulthood and later it receives, records, and reacts to all the impressions through its senses and the mind. But all this happens only after it knows itself. Your erroneous concept of knowledge is that of collecting information and ideas from the outside through the 5 senses of knowledge or perception. Then you give out this information to others as important knowledge and are fascinated by it. But when I talk about knowledge, I do not refer to this but to the knowledge that you are, your beingness, to the child principle or the Balakrishna state, which is the root cause of all your acquisitions, both spiritual and worldly. You should try to understand what this child principle is. I am dealing with this only and not with your so-called knowledge gained externally through the senses. This Balakrishna principle has great potential. It is the chemical that can develop photographic memories, can retain and reproduce whatever was read or heard only once. This is the innate capacity of the non-knowing, ignorant child principle, Balakrishna. Here, Bal means the food, essence, child body, and Krishna means non-knowing, that is, ignorance. But it has the potential to receive, respond, and react. You are not doing anything. All this is happening spontaneously in you. If you want to understand the deep underlying meaning of this, go to the very source, to your beingness, and hold on to that. But above all, do not collect concepts. Here these talks proceed as automatically as breathing. Hundreds of people come and listen to the talks, but I do not assume any pose. Why? In the speck of my beingness with the beingness, while I observed myself and everything else, realization occurred to me. Henceforth all happenings took place spontaneously. Even the talks here are spontaneous occurrences, and so I am not the speaker, nor am I in this state the child principle, Balakrishna, as I abide in the Absolute. April 4th, 1980. Chapter 17. To know what one is, one must know one's beginning. What is the difference between spirituality and discrimination? Discrimination means selecting words and meanings worthy of us. Nevertheless, words that are worthy of our true nature and describe our ultimate state are never available. Out of a heap of wheat, you pick up and collect good wheat for your consumption, while rejecting stones and bad wheat. Similarly, discrimination is to be used. At present, you identify yourself with your body and mind. Therefore, in the initial stages of your spiritual practice, you should reject the identity by imbibing the principle that I am is the vital breath, and the consciousness only and not the body and mind. In the later stages, the vital breath and the consciousness, that is, the knowledge I am, merge in one's ultimate nature, just as the thoughts of a professor or pandit subside in him when he goes to sleep. A person in deep sleep does not know himself, because even the sense of his beingness has merged in him. When you realize that you are neither the body nor the mind, you will remain unaffected by any mental modifications. In that state, you are the dynamic, universal consciousness. You should abide in this state. Pleasure, pain, and miseries are felt so long as identification with the body and mind is retained. Suppose a ship sank in mid-ocean with thousands of passengers. Could their identities survive the calamity in the absence of their bodies and minds? Further, could the victims have any idea about themselves after such a tragedy, when their bodies have totally vanished? Under these circumstances, even their surviving relatives are unable to visualize the state of the unfortunate passengers. To determine an identity, a body, vital breath, and beingness are prerequisites. Compassion, forgiveness, peace, and attachment relate to the domain of human existence. Am I right in saying this? These qualities are significant so long as the beingness is there, as a result of the functioning of a body and the vital breath. When these three principles function coherently, everything is there. Otherwise, nothing is. Spirituality means abidance in the self. When you discuss or think of any topic such as discrimination or spirituality, you study it objectively and fractionally. But I do it subjectively and totally by pointing to the all-embracing principle, the self. Understand the self. Be the self. So long as your body, the vital breath, and the beingness are there, you know that you are. When the vital breath goes, the body drops off and the beingness extinguishes. The process is termed death. One who is dead cannot know anything. A dead one does not know he is or he was. So there is no registering of such a dead one's existence either with us or with the One. Go to the root of your beingness. In the process, the beingness will be transcended and the ultimate you only remain without the knowledge you are. That ultimate state is known as Vishranti, which means total rest, complete relaxation, utter quietude, etc. The other meaning by splitting the word would be Vishara Anti, forget yourself in the end. That means in the ultimate state, you-are-ness is totally forgotten. Whether I am or I am not, both are forgotten. This is the highest type of rest, Parama Vishranti. Don't meekly accept what I say. If you have doubts, by all means, ask questions. If anybody is going to ask questions, they will be from the body-mind level. And mind means whatever one has collected from the outside. It is not one's own. So ask only about what has been discussed from the correct standpoint. How to experience that highest state? There is no question of experiencing. You are that state only. All experience is derived through the senses. Yes, but you, the ultimate experiencer, are not merely the sum total of experiences. On waking up, you know you are. This is your knowingness. Prior to this knowingness, whatever you are, it is not the knowingness. Does this have anything to do with the ultimate? There are many titles and attributes, but prior to all attributes, you are. Do we have realization? These are all concepts. The ultimate state, however, is beyond the grasp of words. Out of one concept, more concepts are born, and everything is going on with and through these concepts. Thus the storehouse is filled with concepts. But when the primary concept itself is abolished, where is the question of further concepts? Is this I exaggerated or not? What is your age? 61 years. Going back in time to one day prior to those 61 odd years of your lifespan, did you know that you were going to take birth? Obviously not. I had no idea that I was going to be born before my birth. Now, having been born, did you ever inquire why at all you were born? Earlier, this I amness knowledge was not there before birth. I do not know when I was born, nor do I know when I am going to die. But all these days, why did you not make the inquiry? Now that you have the knowledge I am, how did you come to it? Granted that you were born unknowingly, but like a man asleep on waking finds that he has a large boil, will he not inquire, where did I get this boil? I did inquire. With whom did you inquire? What answer did you get? But I did not get any answer. How and why this knowledge I am? How did this knowledge I am appear from the non-knowing state? I don't know. You must know that. What is the use of all types of information? Thousands of people have drowned in a ship. What information can you have about their present state? Death. Obviously nothing. Can the one who did not know about death or birth have knowledge of his death? We shall have to inquire from the dead person. Are you going to inquire from the dead? Unknowingly this knowingness has appeared. How? From nothingness this I amness has appeared. How? Prior to your birth, did you ever experience your I amness? Probably not. Why probably? Definitely no. Collection of any information regarding the non-knowing state is merely an idle inquiry. Why do you clasp that knowingness now? Since you are going to meet death, definitely. Prior to birth, you did not know you were. You are going to die. Then why are you clinging to all these concepts of heaven, hell, virtue, and sin? Will you care to turn around and observe, now that you have heard all these talks? Sometimes I do. What is the use of that? Finally, you must come to the conclusion that there is no such thing as the me and the mine. See at least your beginning. Probably we have a right to the beginning and not to the end. I am interested only in your beginning. How did you happen to be? It is most important. I am interested in me and myself. But did you come to know what you are? You bless me. You place before me your identity, and then I bless it. When one does not know his very beginning, how can he plead for anyone? Although you know full well that you do not know, why do you still embrace all this? It is all instinct. We naturally embrace all this. What is that instinctive uprising? What is it that is born? You are not concerned about it. You do not have the knowledge because you do not have the urge. If you have a deep urge, then only will there be illumination. Until then, you will be making all the efforts while someone else will be taking the advantage, like a blind man working on a grinding stone while a dog eats all the flour. How should we get rid of this blindness? By abiding in the self through insistence. Meditate on the self. You must do Hatha Yoga of insistence and perseverance to have perfect knowledge about the self. Is there anybody who has such knowledge? Yes, a rare one, 1 in 10 million. Having come upon these mathematical odds, do you now give up on the inquiry? I do not want to give up. Have you come to this conclusion after pinching your ears? What is the use of striving all along? What is the use of any of your concepts? A Jnani is beyond concept. He gives no importance to any concept. He may not know how much we are striving now and have done so earlier. You have no idea. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa appealed to the mother. O mother, take me beyond thought and knowledge as I get mad with them. Did you try it yourself? Did you go beyond thought and knowledge? If not, why do you refer to others? No. If you have not tried the recipe on yourself, why do you talk about it? Why do you introduce someone else's judgment? Can you remain alive without words? Without them, how can you manage your daily activities? I know the history of your birth, why you call a person your father or mother. I know full well. Why do you bother about others instead of bothering about your own self? Others, such as Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. If you are ignorant, it is all right to inquire about others. But when you are concerned about yourself, then inquire about yourself only. When I pleased my I amness by understanding it, only then did I come to know this I amness, and in the process also discovered that I, the Absolute, am not that I am. Stay put at one place. Having collected all the knowledge, ponder over it in seclusion. If Maharaj blesses me, I shall have enlightenment. That is not so simple. It is just like saying that a married couple will beget children merely if somebody blesses them. The knowledge I am is a curse. It is accidental, spontaneous. The beginning of I am is when I get the phone message that I am. And when I have the information I am, that is the Ganesa state. Why is Ganesa equated with the primordial sound pranava that is Aum? Because Ganesa represents the knowledge prana, the vital breath. Out of the pranava, the product of prana, the vocal language develops after passing through 4 stages. That is, para, pashyanti, madhyama, vikari. Para is the source and the subtlest stage. Vighari is the grossest, representing the bursting out of vocal language. The state prior to Para is love to be, the sense of love, which gives rise to all activities. That state is Ganesha. July 26, 1980. Chapter 18. Your beingness is the beginning and end of the mind. One Spanish gentleman who visited here had practiced a lot of meditation, but he could not get rid of attachment. So long as you are attached to the body, you will not be able to transcend attachment to various people and things. Whenever I tried to get hold of myself, I feel the absence of love for my relatives. Do not be concerned about other people. Be concerned with yourself. After doing meditation, I lost love for others. It is not that your love became less. The love now merges into your own self. Your own beingness is love and bliss. You have objectified your love. Your very nature is love. By stabilizing in beingness, you collect all the love which was diffused and spread outside. You abide in that knowledge, I am. Whatever you are inside the body represents love only. This love works, collects food, eats, digests, and acquires knowledge. You are, is the love, and expresses itself through the vital breath. That is, activities go on because of the vital breath. Just as the body has a number of limbs for carrying out worldly activities, so the knowledge you are has the vital breath as its limb for activity. It is not a question of loving others, but directly knowing what you are. That love is looking after you. It is your nourishment, your motive, and energizing force. You focus your attention there. Its movement is indicated by the vital breath. It is the life force. The tangible feeling of manifestation is the knowledge you are. This love is the universal love, not directed at any particular person or thing. It is very much like space. Space does not say, I am exclusively for so-and-so. It does not make love privately to someone. That love is manifest and universal. Because you identify with the body, all the troubles begin. Primary love is love to be. Only after that can you think of loving others. Why do you strive to be? Simply because you love to be. The biggest stumbling block is the identification with the body-mind. Understand that it is not that you can become God. You are God. You are godly originally, but you become something you are not. You should understand that your destination is your own self, the I am. It is the very source of everything. That I am is to be realized. That is the destination, but how to reach it? You are derailed from the search because of the body. You toppled from the godly vantage point by catching hold of the body. Because you are, the consciousness is. Before you say I am, you already are. Agreed? You know now that you are. Be that. Here I am not going to tell you what is written in the scriptures, however sophisticated they may be. I am going to tell you simply that you are. If you like my talks, you may come. If you do not like them, then stay away. At present, you may consider yourself to be an insignificant person of limited worth, intelligence. But actually, it is not so. You are very ancient. You are infinite, eternal. This feeling of I amness is like an advertisement. It indicates that eternal state. I am, the word or the feeling I am feeling that you get inside, is not eternal. But you are eternal and ancient. How to understand that I am eternal? This cannot be understood in the usual intellectual way. That state is spontaneously realized. When you are in the state of I amness, you merge in the eternal state. Now you know that you are, and that you are sitting. How did you develop this conviction? I know I am sitting here. In the same way, you must develop the conviction that you are the Absolute. This is most important. You have to focus your attention on that only. Before the appearance of the beingness or knowingness, I, the Absolute, am already there eternally. Who will focus attention? Who knows that this is focusing of attention? That which focuses attention is prior to attention. In the mind, how can you meditate? In what you call meditation, you need an object. Who observes the meditation? Who practices the meditation? The process necessitates the presence of someone as well as an object, does it not? But before anything else, the meditator must be present. Now let him alone be without any object. In true meditation, the meditator is alone, without any object to meditate upon. Prior to the waking state, I or the Absolute ever is. On waking, it dawns upon me that I am, and only after that all other happenings and things come to mind. Again, I, the Absolute, must be before the waking state. Stay put here. Abide therein. You have to stabilize in your present true nature, I am. All other secondary and redundant objects should be got rid of. Do not focus your attention on any of these things. The whole process is to be in your source. At present, what is your source? I am. Catch hold of that I amness and be in it. You have to realize your own self. You must be at the borderline between I am and not I am. Suppose it does not occur to you that you are. Does it mean that you are not? If that I amness is not there, you, the Absolute, are. As such, you prevail prior to and during and after the waking state. During the waking state, the sense of I amness perceives the world. And from the standpoint of you, the Absolute, there is witnessing of I amness and its perceptions. I do want to do something spiritual. Do you want self-knowledge or not? You want to do something spiritual, but you must be there for doing something. You must know you. Who is the doer of spirituality? I am is the doer. When you are involved in daily activities in the house, street, and office, who is the common factor? It is your I amness. This I amness of yours is doing everything. Suppose from the morning till night I have been doing a lot of things. What is the sum total of my activities? All these many activities took place in my state of beingness. In deep sleep, I am went into oblivion. It forgot itself. Then what is the use of everything that was done? Beingness is not an eternal state. It is a temporary phase, a passing show. Consciousness is the product of the five elements and their interactions. The result of the five elements is temporary, time-bound. Your knowingness and all that you accumulate always come subsequent to your beingness. You can know something only when knowingness knows it is. Your fall occurs when you try to identify something within the sphere of consciousness as yourself. Your consciousness manifests the world. When you try to equate the body with yourself, the fall begins. Who thinks I am the consciousness? You. Without beingness, there is no thinking. Beingness is a basic precondition for thinking or not thinking. Suppose you have pain in the body. Who witnesses that pain? Your beingness only witnesses it. In the absence of beingness, how can there be witnessing at all? The real witness is the eternal self only. So long as beingness is there, you are the beingness. When the beingness is not, you are the Absolute. Everybody that comes here has to go. Similarly, the beingness which has come must go. July 28, 1980.